feature of how you can invite your friends to watch online with you while you're watching the live stream. You can click on this plus button where it will pull up a list of your friends where you can invite them to join you in watching the live stream. You can do the same on your mobile device. So if you go to this share button here, you will be given a list of your friends where you can send them an invite to watch along with you while you're watching the live stream. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we hope you stay connected with us, and make sure to like our Facebook page so that you can get all of the updates on what's happening here at Family Church. Hi guys, I'm Katie, and we at Family Church wanted to show you guys how to give on our live stream website. At live.ourfamily.church, you will see the option to give online on the right-hand side of your screen. You will be taken to a safe environment where you can see that your connection is secure. There are two options when you go to give. You can give one time or set up a reoccurring gift. So that's it, but we really want to know how we can support you and your family during this time. So please let us know, and we'll continue to be praying for you guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Tuesday, and we have a great show for you today. Please stay tuned and watch it. Let me give you a few things, first of all, before we start. Hit that like or that share button. It's so important that you maybe let other people know who are watching on Facebook, and they just sort of stumble across it. There may be a message here that they want to know about and need to hear today. Also, our online small groups have been so popular, and kind of thanks to this pandemic, I mean, people are really finding new ways of getting in touch with one another. And our online small groups, meeting on Zoom or Google Hangout, whatever it might be, are doing great. And so new small groups are being added, and we'd love for you to join one, jump into one that's already existing. They would love to have you. Also, we know there's so many prayer requests out there, people, with jobs and financial issues and family issues and sicknesses, and we want to pray for you. So if you go to our homepage, you'll see a place there where you can hit for prayer. It's going to take you to our prayer wall, and the prayer wall is very unique. We just started it here recently, but it's puts your prayer request up. Other people can pray for you and let you know that they have been praying for you. And that's just so encouraging during this time. Also, giving. We so appreciate how you've been generous to us, your giving to us. You can do that at give at ourfamily.church. Very simple. And the money that you're giving to us, your gifts, are really helping us to do this, shows like this, to reach people and how God has used us. And so today we're going to be focusing on breast cancer, and I have 3 breast cancer survivors with me here today. But before we start, I just want to go through the statistics to really sort of, talk about, what it is that women are facing when it comes to breast cancer. The statistics are 1 in 8 U.S. women, that's about 12%, will develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. The other is in 2020, an estimated 276,480 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S. That's a lot. That's a lot. And about 2,620 new cases of invasive breast cancer expect to be diagnosed in men also. So it's not just women that sort of deal with this thing these days, which I found very unusual. And of course, invasive is when it gets down into the cells. It's not just on the skin. And about 42,170 women in the U.S. are expected to die in 2020 from breast cancer. So it's a very real problem. You ladies faced it head on. So I'd like to have you guys introduce yourselves, sort of tell us when it was, who's in your family that was a part of all this, and part of your story, and what kind of diagnosis you had. We'll start with you, Carmen.
Okay. My name is Carmen McRae, and I'm married to Chris McRae. And my daughter Mia is 12 years old, and my son Nathan is 10 years old. And in 2016, I was 38, so I felt a lump, and I waited actually a little bit. And I kept feeling it, and so I knew I had never had a mammogram, so I needed to go in to have a mammogram and ultrasound. And after that visit, my radiologist told us what we might have been thinking. But it wasn't until a few days later, I received a phone call with those words that it was cancer, and I think it just took my breath away for a minute. It was kind of hard to say the words. I was later diagnosed with stage 2B. It was invasive. I was triple positive, and I was negative for the BRCA gene.
And the kind of treatment that you received, how did you deal with that? What were you dealing with on a regular basis?
So I went straight into chemo for 6 rounds of the hard stuff, because I continued for a year with 2 other medications. And then I had a surgery, which included a lumpectomy, as well as some lymph nodes that were removed, and then radiation.
Okay, wow. All right, and then we have with us Amy Anglin. Tell us about your story.
My name is Amy Anglin. I'm married to Craig Anglin. I have 2 boys, Oliver, who is 15, and Sawyer, who is 13. I was diagnosed in August of 2011, and I worked for the radiology company, or at a radiology company at the time, and that's how I found my breast cancer. I also found my own lump. I was 39 years old, so I wasn't getting routine mammograms at that time, and everyone that I worked with knew at the same time I knew. So it was very quick. I went in on a Wednesday and found out on a Friday that it was positive.
And then what was the surgery and everything you had?
Well, my plan was a little different. I had a double mastectomy first, then I had chemotherapy, and then after that I had radiation. So I had 6 rounds of chemo. I was also triple positive. My breast cancer was considered 1B, and I had the 6 months of chemo and then a year of another chemo drug, and then I had about 6 weeks every day of radiation.
Oh, okay, wow. All right, and this is Barbie Schmidt and my wife, and so tell us about your story.
Well, I'm Barbie. As you know, we have 3 adult sons, Riley, Brady, Carson. 2 are married, 1 is engaged. We have 2 beautiful granddaughters and another grandchild on the way. So we're excited about that. I was diagnosed in 2008, and I had been religious about getting my mammograms just every year. No history in my family of breast cancer whatsoever. And it was just something that I did. And one day in 2008, I got a phone call just right after the mammogram date, next day, and said, "You need to come in." And so it was at that moment I thought, I just knew. I just knew.
And we had a vacation planned.
Yes.
And we went on vacation with that news and did our best and then had to come back and deal with the treatment. I remember
Yes, yeah. I almost didn't go for the mammogram because we were too busy. And so I encourage everybody to keep your appointments. Keep your appointment.
Absolutely.
So I kept the appointment, got that news, had the biopsy, and then when he said cancer, I was stunned, scared, of course, because you never want to hear that word. But
Yeah, then you had your treatment was a lumpectomy.
they said it was small, so I chose a lumpectomy after talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of advice. Had a lumpectomy, and then once they went in, took that out, and then they take the lymph nodes out as well and test those. They found that it had spread, and so I went from what they thought was stage 1 up to stage 3B. And so they took all of that out, and then I had 6 months of chemotherapy and then 33 radiation treatments after that.
Yeah. So, no history in your family?
Not for me.
No history in the family?
No, and I was BRCA tested as well and was BRCA negative.
And no history in your
Wow.
family? Right.
Yeah.
And so you just never know.
Right.
It just could happen to anyone. So you get the news is devastating. How does your family react when you start to tell them what happened, Carmen?
Well, I always say that I think it was harder on my family and my caregivers than me. I think once I was able to say the word and say that I had it, I was fine with letting people know. But it was hard on them, and it is hard when you say that word to someone else. And this is what I have. How are they to respond? But they were wonderful. My husband immediately was praying over me, and my mom, my parents, my siblings, they were always there to encourage me and get me through, especially the chemo rounds. And then the church family was incredible. And then I met these 2 lovely ladies who, once I spoke with them, I felt like I'm good. I'm good to take this on, and here we go. But the church then set up meals for every chemo round. My kids were taken on the weekends by my friend and my sister when the chemo hit the worst, and it was just amazing.
What about you? How did your family, how did you let them know, ease them into it?
Well, I was really nervous to tell my husband because of my age at the time, being 39. His sister had passed away at the age 39 of colon cancer. So I was very scared to say the C word to him because it had already hit our family pretty devastatingly. And so we both were in shock, absolutely. He tells people that it was like someone put a bomb in our laps and we had to figure out how to defuse it. But, again, our church family stepped in. Our actual family stepped in as well. My mother came over and helped with the boys when I couldn't do homework with them and cook food, and my work family stepped in and brought meals too. And so it was just kind of an all community coming together to help with that, because it's something that as women we're used to doing a lot of things on our own and kind of running the show, and when something like that happens, it's pretty devastating to us because we are used to being everything for everyone, and when we can't, it's tough.
Great point.
Yeah.
How about you, Barbie?
Yep. Our family was so great. Your mom came, and my mom and my sisters, and from all over the country just came to help us, and cleaning and cooking, taking care of the kids, and just prayer support, as well as the church, our home group. We just lost without them. They were just so great. And then it went beyond that, meals coming in from people here at church that I had never met.
Yeah.
And they were good meals.
Still not sure who they are.
I mean, they were great. And we didn't cook for 6 months.
No.
It was,
We got fat, though. There was a lot of calories that we ate during that
it
time.
was good,
But it
but-
was happy calories.
and
Very
it was such a
satisfying.
blessing because it just lifted the burden.
Absolutely.
And to be loved and cared for like that, it was necessary, and just we're so grateful.
And speaking as the husband, in the relationship, I just remember how hard it was. I think I cried for about, 2 months. Like every day I would just cry. And you sort of feel that, gee, I wish it would happen to me. I know I was always praying that. Why don't I get the cancer and not her? And seeing your wife struggle was very difficult on the husband. I'm sure your husbands would sit here and say the same thing. But, you're also sort of, your own faith is sort of challenged in it. And your kids all react differently. Ours were older. Yours were younger. Did you notice anything different in how your kids reacted at such a young age to that?
My kids I had a first grader and a third grader, and they were told once we knew completely what the diagnosis was and what the treatment plan was. And then I told their teachers. And the school counselor sent a book home, and it talked about what mommy would be going through. So it was great. My daughter is my oldest one, so she was a little more concerned at the fact that I had so many appointments I was going to. I told her I will let you know what's going on once I find out completely. But we talked to them often. We prayed about it often, and we told them that they could talk to anybody they wanted to about it. And so they had small groups here at church, and we had heard they had shared there and shared prayer requests. I think us talking about it, we laughed a lot through it as well. And still living, we still lived. We still went to church. We did everything we did as normal, except when I was down for the count after chemo rounds. But so I think that normalcy was good for them, and I didn't see any negative changes in them.
What about your boys?
They were very young as well. They were 5 and 7, so they were just starting kindergarten and second grade. And I remember the day I found out I had to do chemo, I had to go to meet the teacher. And I'd had my little mini meltdown in the oncologist office. And so I had to kind of get it in check to go to meet the teachers. And they didn't know, I didn't tell them at the time, but later I did. And ironically enough, both of their mothers had breast cancer. So they were extremely helpful to our family when the boys were, struggling with work. I remember Oliver specifically, his second grade teacher would stay extra and tutor him for free because she knew what was going on in our house. So it was just how God worked in those ways. But I used a book as well for the boys and kind of helped them understand it a little bit through that.
Yeah. And ours were older, and one was in college, right?
One in
during that
college,
time,
and then 2 in high school. And I've always said that the whole family gets diagnosed with cancer. It's just not us. We
Right.
all get it and deal with it in a different way. And but I remember encouraging the boys, a lot like what you said, is just, I want you to continue. I don't want this to stop you from doing your best, and we're going to go through this together, but still going to live life. I like that you said it that
Yeah.
way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really,
Absolutely.
really encourage that, not to stop everything, but let's keep living.
Be wise.
And that
but-
helps. That helps you too to see
Right.
them
Yes.
accomplishing and doing things. That's encouraging through all of it. Not feeling the guilt that you've had to pause their lives
Yeah.
to keep on living.
Right.
The you know, the other thing is you have to deal with all the physical effects. So obviously it starts with hair loss, and you know, hair is very important. More important maybe to women, and having to lose that, it's a little bit of their femininity that they're losing. You all had to lose your hair at some point. How did you deal with that? What was this? You had a ceremony of some kind in order to shave your head?
We did. I really got tired of washing my hair and losing so much every time I washed my hair. So I did go for a short bob. I was like, I've never had my hair that short. Let's cut it that short. But that lasted about a day, and then I decided it needs to come off, and we decided just to have like a shaving party at home. And so my husband shaved his head. I have a twin brother. He shaved his head, and so did my dad. So that was fun because we were just laughing and just enjoying that day. And it just felt good because it wasn't on my head anymore, it wasn't falling out. And so
You had
it
a
didn't.
good reason to do it now.
And yes, I did. I
Yeah.
did. You know, I think losing my eyebrows or my eyelashes was one of the hardest
Yeah.
for me to go through.
Yeah. What about you, Amy?
My work family bought me a wig, a really good wig.
Okay.
So I went into the Eden Spa at the Cancer Center, and they shaved my head for me. It was one of the few things that I could actually
Yeah.
take control of at that time. So I decided I'm going to decide when it comes off, and I'm going to decide, you know, how that works. So they shaved my head for me, and then I walked in with hair, and I walked out with hair. And so that part of it was important, because a lot of cancer treatments you have no control, and that was, you know, one of my little ways of taking control.
Exactly.
And I know it was
Yeah.
hard for you. We tried to have fun with it, didn't we?
Yeah, and I agree. We've, mentioned that. You have to, as awful as everything that you're going through, you do I try and find silver linings and things to laugh at. And this was one of those moments that, again, I agree I had control over this appointment, and the hair was falling out. And it's like, I'm going to shave it. I'm going to shave it. And went to Eden Spa as well. They were wonderful, a cancer spa. And I'd always had hair like this, and so she was about to start shaving it, and I'm like, wait. I said, I've never had short hair. What do I look like? Because it's going to grow back out, so I want to know. So I said, give me a little bob. And so she gave me a cute little bob. I'm like, okay. And then I said, spike it. Just spiky. And so she did that. And then, since we have the boys, I'm like, this is my only opportunity to ever have a mohawk.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
I
hope
said,
so.
give me a mohawk. I promise. It's a one and only time. So I said, give me a mohawk just for the boys. And
Yeah.
so she shaved the sides. And so I have a picture of myself with a mohawk.
Yeah.
But then she shaved it all off. And it was just a very surreal moment, and you were with me.
Yeah.
But again, I went in with hair, and I also had a great wig, and so I came out with hair and a really good wig.
It was a great wig.
It's better than this.
And let's
really
not
amazing.
underestimate the quality of a wig
It's a big
to help
deal.
you get through this.
It's
That's
a
really
big
That
deal.
you have the
Yeah.
best wig, it just changes your perspective on everything. And I knew, in fact, you were working here at the CDC,
Yeah.
and you had a certain routine when you came in. You only worked part-time anyway, but you would sort of stagger it so that you came in while you were getting treatment with the wig, and nobody knew.
No parents knew.
Nobody knew you had cancer during the time because the wig was so good. We
Yeah.
still have it, and you've threatened me that you're going to shave your head again and wear that routinely because
so
it's
much
so
easier.
easy.
It's
just
just
right back
ready,
on.
and you just put it on.
So, that, again, feeling good, feeling pretty during that time, does make a difference.
Absolutely.
And helps you to get through all that. So as bad as it is, and you hear the C word, and you have to go and tell family, that's all tough, there's always a silver lining. There's always something good that does come out of it. What were some of the things that you saw, Carmen, in your own family, in your life, in your faith, that were just that were incredible. You probably would not have gotten unless you had gone through breast cancer.
Definitely seeing God work through so many people, friends, acquaintances, people I didn't even know, cards, text messages, meals, and my son asking during that time, "Wow, you have so many friends," and I would tell him, those are not my friends. I go, they're our family. They're our church family. Your grandparents and your cousins. I go, but this is another set of family that we have, and they are making sure that we're going to be okay through this. So that was just amazing for them and for me to witness, being able to say, okay, help me. I'm okay with that. Okay, and help me. And then just those moments, those quiet moments with God when I might have been struggling through a week of chemo and all I had was him to lean on, and him to lean on to push me through that week.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you see, Amy?
Absolutely, definitely enhanced my prayer life, because there was multiple times through the chemo that I was very sick and that I didn't sleep well at all. And it actually encouraged me, or someone from our church, Brenda Engstrom, encouraged me to pray through those times instead of just sitting there feeling sorry for myself or asking God why and fix it. It was just helping me actually get closer to God and have him surround me with love and that at that time. One of the things that I noticed, though, that I would have thought through this process, and this happened after I went through my treatments, because again, I worked for a radiology group at the time, I became kind of a poster child for breast cancer. So I was on billboards and a side of a bus and on the Amway. And so things that I never, in magazines, I would have never in a million years thought that I would be on any of those things. It was an
I remember
opportunity.
the bus that came by and I was like, Amy,
I know, it was so weird. But it was an opportunity for me to share with people the silver lining or the other side of cancer, that it's not a club anybody wants to be a part of, but if you do become a member, there are some ways that you can reach out and be able to be a resource for people, and I think that's definitely what Barbie was for me, absolutely, and what we have tried to be with Carmen, and then any other women that are diagnosed with this disease, that we can be a resource and helpful, and if nothing else, to be prayer warriors with them and for them.
Yeah, and there's definitely a BC team, the breast cancer team. When I get the call, I go, say no more, I'm putting you in touch with the ladies, and you're in the sorority now, and they're going to help you during this time. What did you see? What was some of the pluses that came out of this?
When I first heard that I had cancer, and it's like the fear and you're stunned, just stunned. But at the very same moment, because I like to have control and know what I'm doing and planning, and this, you just lose all control. I've never felt God so quickly. I just felt peace. I felt his peace. It wasn't my peace. I didn't muster it up because I wasn't feeling peaceful. But at that moment, I felt peace, and it was God saying, Barbie, I'm not taking it away. This is going to be a new chapter in your life, and I'm going to be right there with you together. We journey this together. And I just felt strong and peaceful. Scared, and that definitely those moments happened, but it was, I learned that, because we're all going to die, and I thought, well, maybe this is my story. I didn't know if it was or wasn't, but I thought this could be it, because that happens. And I thought, I'm going to live this next 6 months, whatever God gives me, differently and better. And it taught me what was important and what was not important. And then should he grant me more years, I want to live those years better. And then as you go through the treatments, like I couldn't read. I thought, I'm going to read a lot of books, and you're benched too. It's like you can't go out because your immune system is so poor, so you have to be careful. So you're benched from life. And So the other thing that he taught me, and it was kind of my verse through it, was be still and know that I am God. Be still. And that's about all I could do, was just be
Good
still.
advice.
And it's a discipline. And now I just love that. And I've learned how to be still and to trust.
Yeah.
And there's sweet moments like
You know,
that.
the other thing I remember about you, and you could probably identify with this, is the platform. So you now have a platform, and you were so much bolder during that time. I'm the chaplain over at the Olympia football team, and I remember we had just started there,
Oh, I
and I
forgot
said,
about
"Hey, would you talk to the guys?" You would never do that. Never ever stand up in front of a football team and tell them, "Guys, you got to get out there and fight." And you did that one time. And you got up
forgot.
and you said, "I got cancer right now and I'm fighting it." You know, it's kind of like, "What's your excuse? Now get out there and play the game."
Right.
And it was like, "Who is this woman here?" You know, so it was that sort of,
was
you know,
God.
now you can have a boldness
Just God.
to share your faith.
Absolutely.
You know, this allowed you to now say, here's my church and what they're doing. Here's my faith and how it's helping me through all of this. And so to have that sort of platform, I remember in you, was just very, very encouraging and fun to watch also. So we only have a few minutes here, but you know, someone out there who's watching may get the diagnosis. You know, if they contact us, you know, they're probably going to hear from some of you. But what do you tell people now when they come to you and say, "Oh, Carmen, I just got the diagnosis. I got breast cancer." What do you say to them?
I say that it's going to be okay. Like, keep living, trust God, and talk to Him through every second of it, because there are highs and there are lows through the whole journey. And if I did not talk to Him every time I was in a low, I don't know how I would have gotten out of it. I don't know. And talk to others, accept those blessings from others. You
Yeah.
have to be open to accepting them,
Okay.
because that is where you see God work.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you say, Amy? The
Absolutely.
poster child that you are now, and all the phone calls you get.
Definitely echo everything that Carmen has said. And if nothing else, I want to be able to be some encouragement. But a big thing, I tell people to write everything down, because when you're going through chemo, the chemo brain is a real thing, and you forget things a lot. So when you go to as many doctor's appointments as you end up going to, it's really important to keep a little notebook and keep things written down. One thing I would discourage people from doing is doing too much Googling. You can get sucked into
Oh, yeah.
a lot of negativity. And so, again, to be that positive, uplifting thing, and to have, you know, women that have gone through it. And it may not be me, that's okay. But if you find someone that you can relate well to and that has gone through it, it's a great beacon to be that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, good.
So it's very helpful.
Thank you. What do you say, Barb?
That they can get through it, and it's not an opportunity. It's not something that you want to go through, but there are things on the other side, and during the journey that you grow like you would never have been able to grow. Accept love from people that you know and you don't know. And one thing that I learned is, it's like I like to give and bring a meal to somebody else, and then when everybody was bringing it to me, it was like overwhelming, but it was like learning how to receive.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
can't pay everybody back, you know,
Yeah, right.
write a thank you note, but it was just receiving love, and love from the church family. And there are so many blessings that do come from it and through it.
Yeah.
So don't isolate yourself.
Right. And, you know, your favorite verse, consider it all joy when you go through many trials, and, you know, finding the joy in the moment, you know, trying to find, you know, the little things and being appreciative. And, you know, I tell people when they tell me they had a diagnosis, I says, we would never go back and say, yeah, we would erase that and never do it again if we could live it all over, because we did learn so much and there were so many blessings through it. And it gave us those platforms and things like that to share a faith, that it was a good thing if you look at it. It looks terrible, but if you have God on your side, man, you can get through it. He'll show you the blessings, and He'll create those opportunities too.
Yeah.
Well, you three are just give so much hope to everyone out there that may hear. And so we appreciate you telling your stories. You know, you at home, you know, probably have your own story. It may not be breast cancer related. It could be another cancer related or anything else. We would love for you to share your story with us. And so if you could email your story, it's story@ourfamily.church. What we're going to do is we want to collect some of these. Maybe we'll do a show and have you on it. Maybe we can post them somewhere, but we're just hearing so many amazing things what God's doing in people's lives. So let us know what your testimony is in your story. And also join us tomorrow. We got worship, and it's communion, of course, and it's always a special time and a lot of fun, so join us for that. Thank you for being here today and as part of this, our online church here. And now it's your time to go out and be the church.